So, you're ready to get into motorcycling? That's awesome. But I get it. Looking at the used market for your very first bike can feel, well, a little intimidating. But don't you worry. In this explainer, we are going to walk through the entire process step by step, so you can buy your first bike with total confidence and get out on the road. Okay, let's jump right in.
Before we get into the nuts and bolts, we have to get this one idea locked in your head. It is so important. Your first bike is not your forever bike. It's a tool. Its job is to teach you how to be a great rider. If you can remember that, you'll avoid a ton of rookie mistakes.
Believe it or not, the most critical part of this whole process happens way before you even start scrolling through online ads. This is the prep work, and honestly, getting this part right makes everything else so much easier.
And here it is. This is the single biggest trap that new riders fall into. You find what looks like a great deal, you get all excited, you hand over the cash, and then you call an insurance company and find out the policy costs a fortune. It's an absolute dream killer. So here's the golden rule. Get an insurance quote before you get serious about any bike.
And you know, it's pretty wild how much the type of bike changes what you'll pay. Look at this, that super cool looking sport bike. Insurance companies see that plastic bodywork and aggressive riding position and just see risk, so the premium goes through the roof. A cruiser is usually somewhere in the middle. But the humble standard bike, that's often your best bet for affordable insurance, because they see it as a more sensible choice.
So what makes a bike a good first bike? Well, it really just boils down to these three things. First, the engine. Something in that 250 to 650 cc range has enough power to be fun, but not so much that's going to get you into trouble. Second, ergonomics. You have to be able to sit on the bike and put both of your feet flat on the ground. It's a huge confidence booster. And finally, weight. Lighter is always better for a beginner, always. Bikes like the ones you see here, they just nail that sweet spot.
Okay, let's move on. You've done your homework, you found a bike that looks promising online, and now you're heading out to see it in person. Now remember, you're doing two things here. You're inspecting the machine, sure, but you're also kind of interviewing the owner.
Think of your inspection as having two parts, right? On one side, you have the machine. You're looking for physical evidence, the real story of the bike's condition. But on the other side, you've got the human element, the owner. You're listening to their story, trying to get a feel for how honest they are. What you want is for those two stories to match up. These three questions are like your secret weapons. First, why are you selling it? You're listening for a logical answer, like I'm upgrading or I don't have time to ride. If the answer is vague, that's a little flag. How long have you owned it? If it's only been a few months, you gotta wonder why they're selling it so soon. And service records. Oh man, a big folder full of receipts is a beautiful, beautiful thing. It means they cared. Now you don't have to be a pro mechanic to spot the big stuff. Start with the tires. Look for a little 4-digit number on the side. That's the date it was made. If it's more than 6 years old, it needs to be replaced, period. Then go to the chain. At the very back sprocket, grab the chain and pull it away. If you can see more than half of a sprocket tooth, that chain is shot. These are the little things that can cost you big money later on.
Okay, this one is non-negotiable. If you show up and the seller has already warmed up the bike for you, they might be hiding something. A warm engine can hide a ton of problems, but a cold engine, it tells you the honest truth about how it starts, any weird noises it makes, or any smoke that comes out the back.
All right, time for a little rapid-fire round. These are the absolute 100% deal breakers. If you see or hear any of these things, you just politely say, "Thanks for your time," and you walk away. No hesitation.
If you hear these words, just run. Oh, it just needs a carb clean. Or it just needs a new battery. Think about it. If it was really that cheap and easy to fix, why wouldn't they have just done it themselves and sold it for a lot more money? Right? That little phrase almost always means there's a much bigger problem hiding underneath.
So when that cold engine starts, keep your eyes glued to the exhaust pipe. A little puff of white vapor that goes away quickly is fine. That's just condensation. But if the smoke sticks around, pay attention. Blue smoke means the engine is burning oil. That's bad. Thick white smoke means it's burning coolant. That's really bad. Both of those mean you're looking at some seriously expensive repairs. Okay, let's take a breath and slow down here. Because this is the part that can turn your dream bike into a legal nightmare. The motorcycle itself is only half the deal. The paperwork is the other half, and honestly, it's the more important half.
I really can't say this loudly enough. The title is the legal proof that they own the bike. A photocopy doesn't count. A story about how it's in the mail doesn't count.
If the seller cannot put the original, physical title document in your hand, the deal is off. The conversation is over.
So, they hand you the title. Here's your 3-step check. First, make sure it feels right, that it's the original, not a copy. Second, ask to see their driver's license. The name on their ID must exactly match the name on the title, no exceptions. And third, scan the document for the word lien holder. If you see a bank's name listed there, it means they still owe money on the bike and they can't legally sell it to you.
Now, the bill of sale is basically your receipt. It protects you and it protects the seller. You need to make sure all this information is on there. And that last one, the VIN, the vehicle identification number, you need to personally check that the VIN on the paperwork matches the number stamped onto the bike's frame. Make sure they're a perfect match. So, you've checked out the bike, the paperwork is perfect, you've agreed on a price, and you've shaken hands. Congratulations, that's awesome. But you're not quite done yet. There are just a few final steps to make that new bike legally and officially yours.
Here's your timeline, your action plan. Day 1, and I mean before you even ride it home, the very first thing you do is call your insurance agent and get that policy activated. Then, sometime in that first week, you take all your papers, the signed title, bill of sale, proof of insurance, down to the DMV. And then, usually in about a month or so, that beautiful new title with your name on it will show up in the mail.
We've talked about checklists and questions and paperwork and insurance, but after everything is said and done, what is the single most powerful tool you have at your disposal through this whole process?
It's your gut feeling, your intuition. If the seller seems shady, if their story has a few holes in it, if something about the bike just doesn't feel right to you, you have to listen to that feeling. There are thousands of other great used bikes out there. There will always be another one. Never, ever feel pressured into buying a bike that doesn't feel 100% right. Trust your gut. It'll lead you to the perfect first bike for your adventure.